You laugh now, but just wait till they wheelie go into rocket mode and they fly towards you. It's not dumb because no one would run away from them. That's illegal. Then why don't they just use their regular police boots? Like, why did they fucking do this then? You know, no one will ever run away from the cops. Please play this as your cop RP. Hey, Coil, I'm gonna need you to talk to the devs to give me rollerblades. The only way I will apprehend criminals is if I'm on rollerblades, please. They did this because no one wants to walk up and down a Karachi boardwalk. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah. More likely to run from these guys. No one wants to be the guy caught by rollerblade cops. Just point the gun behind them and shoot it. Yeah. Oh my god. Wait, where is it? Fuck, I missed it. Someone had a really good joke. This is why Bin Laden was so hard to be caught, because he been blading. Okay, we're done.
Hey,
yeah, Bin Laden was radical, dude.
Christian school I don't want to be at. What do I do?
But not in like the crazy fundamentalist radical way. He was just fucking radical, like. You said that as a meme, but I guarantee if you ask Coil, he'd consider it. No, I mean, I wouldn't be able to catch anybody though. Okay, blowing yourself up with a gender reveal bomb is the first truly unique form of America. Gender reveal device. This doesn't seem like America. This dude, I don't know why this entire thing looks like it's in the UK or something. Gender reveal device explosion kills father to be. Several it was in Michigan, but several large-scale parties have gone wrong. A man from Michigan was killed earlier this month when he was struck by shrapnel from a small cannon-type device fired during a baby shower. I don't know why people have just not stopped doing baby showers. I find it very strange that it's still a practice. Or not baby showers, sorry. Fucking... gender reveal explosion parties. Why are people making bombs for gender reveal parties? When you find out the gender... Oh, dude, that's fucked up. When you find out the gender of the baby is orphan is fucked up, dude. Fucked up. All right. We are going to talk about Illinois lawmakers who want to ban Grand Theft Auto amid spike in carjackings in a brief moment. I talked about this earlier, but before we do that, it's top of the hour every hour. It's time for a 6-second ad break. You already know what it is. If you no longer want to see the ads, if you want to ad-free broadcasting experience, all you need to do is subscribe. You do it for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Here's the ad.
In just the last few days, 3 teens have been arrested for carjackings in Chicago. People have been saying for months now that teens are running around the city and carjacking people like it's a video game.
But now local lawmakers are...
That is from, I think, GTA No Pixel 2.0, and that's, is that Mr. K? The leader of the Chang Gang. The dudes that we were talking to yesterday who were flexing on us. And they literally put that as B-roll. They're using one of their heists from the last...
In just the last few days, 3 teens have been arrested for carjackings in Chicago.
I guess they were robbing a Fleesa.
Now the teens are running around the city and carjacking people like it's a video game.
But now local lawmakers are doubling down on that idea, saying that video game should be banned.
Tia Ewing has more.
The carjacking suspects aren't even old enough to drive.
To survive, they have to set up and pull off a series of increasingly audacious heists.
Philanthropist Early Walker says violent video games like Grand Theft Auto could be influencing their young minds.
Yeah, guys, there is absolutely, no reason to look into the material conditions. There's no reason to look at a direct link between, a pandemic that has left many jobless and the increase in crimes, or rather, the fact that schools are not open currently and after-school programs are no longer in operation. Like, that certainly has nothing to do with the increase in crimes, especially amongst the youth. In Illinois, it's a game that came out in 2014. They're right. Maybe if we fucking ban Grand Theft Auto, they'll make a new one. So, I'm on board, dude. Fuck it.
Just admit it's your
Maybe
fault.
finally fucking Rockstar will make a new goddamn game rather than just rely on having the same fucking game, not even remastered, for every goddamn new gen, next gen fucking console that comes out. I don't know. Hopefully, this will maybe get Rockstar to move on Grand Theft Auto 6. Okay? Wasn't the violent video games around GTA 5 started by Rockstar's marketing push to push sales and put in the light? Yeah. 8-year-old game, 24-year-old franchise, and the recent robberies are directly linked to it. You pretend to be more SJW than you actually are to appease Twitch staff. Hard to believe that you actually believe half the shit you say. Trainwrecks is right about you. Nice bait account, my friend. Thank you for your participation in the conversation. But we are not going to be having that right now. Hassan, I would like to invite you to join my task force of muscular people to break the kids out of cages, but I can't tell if you're fat or muscular. Please tell them your shirt off. This guy has been asking me to take my shirt off since the beginning of this stream. There you go. You can get fucking wrecked as well. I was waiting for an opportunity to just like hit him with something. Donna's a lot to answer for corrupting the youth. I know. In GTA 5, why cops kill people too? Hassan always defends his streamer friends. KW. Thank you for your 13-month subscription. Here's a 1-day ban for you. Using your Twitch free subscription as an opportunity to say some stupid shit. You are lucky that I did not fucking ban you permanently.
Easy clap.
Next time I will ban you permanently. Tyler 13 or whatever your name is. Yeah, there is no evidence that that video games cause violent behavior. There have been numerous studies on this. There's countless studies on this. The only thing you can link it back to is aggressive behavior. But aggressive behavior has the same kind of correlation with sports as well. So it's bullshit. Are we going to ban? And no one is making the argument that we need to ban fucking sports because, kids are fighting each other. Want to go rob a local bank with me? GTA inspired me, of course. No. Correlation does not mean causation regardless. But you think after 30 years of failing to ban video games, they'd knock that shit off? Yeah.
Pepe La. I'm subscribing over here.
Let's keep
going.
going.
There are instances in the game where an individual pulls up to a car, bumps the car,
Hold on.
taps the car, gets out, pulls the individual out of the car carjacks the car, pulls off.
Walker met with Illinois State
Hassle,
Representative
hassle, hassle.
Marcus Evans in January, and from there, legislation was drafted to amend a 2012 law preventing some games, including Grand Theft Auto, from being sold to children in Illinois.
House Bill
6 months while Guam was uni.
3531, which will ban these video games and send a message.
Different versions of Grand Theft Auto have been banned or censored in 5 different countries, but never in the United States. This past Friday,
No
a
one has
former
ever had
police
the thought of
officer was
committing
carjacked in
crimes
his own
before video
driveway in the
games or
south
comics or
suburbs.
books or
The car was
scrolls or
later
cave
found in
drawings or-
Harvey with the young suspect still in it.
They don't care. They feel they're going to get right back out, especially juveniles.
An expert told us the game can be the cause of violence, but it isn't the only factor.
What? An expert? Who's the expert?
Should it be banned? I think so. However, there's probably lots of reasons
People
for
may hassle.
theft and lots of reasons for violence.
Tia Ewing, Fox 32 News.
Like, what is this expert? Like, you found one guy? Really? Imagine wanting to ban a video game whose title is derived from a crime that already exists on a large enough scale to have a video game named after it? Yeah. This is the next level. It's because of that damn game. Yeah, no, we need to ban. Can we ban No Pixel? Your streams have made me care about Italians. Yeah. What a great fucking what a great little beat, dude. What a great little 2-minute video. Like, if correlation meant causation, since the advent of video games, crime at an international scale has decreased. So what's up? So I guess video games are literally having an inverse effect with the increase in crime. Like they are decreasing crime overall, both in the United States and worldwide. Pretty awesome. That's pretty sick. It all started when fucking Tetris came out on the market. Can we ban Fortnite? Ever since its release, there's been numerous cases of kids wanting to work in the construction field in crank 90s.
Catching up. That
Yeah.
reaction to the Matt Taibbi comment was kinda weird. He is saying the same thing plenty of leftists has been saying for years now about Q.
What? We ban mafia movies inspiring too many mafias? Yes, we should. This young Italian guy by the name of Umberto Antonio Donato Pecorino, would you believe it, literally inspired himself to do crimes and like figure out a way to build a crime syndicate, aka a Cosa Nostra, by watching a fuckload of Italian mafia movies. We need to start banning them immediately.
Banning No Pixel.
When members
because
of
it's too
Congress
good
fight
not
to set the
bodies.
minimum wage below a living wage, they are playing a role in creating and preserving poverty in the United States. The $15 proposal with multi-year phase-in is already a deep compromise. $10 an hour is legislated poverty. Mitt Romney and Tom Cotton have rolled out a plan to raise the federal minimum wage to $10 per hour incrementally over 5 years, tied to a mandatory E-Verify for employers and stricter penalties for hiring people here illegally. Dude, I have no problem. As long as you make a more humane immigration policy, I have no problem with like actually and not punishing the immigrants themselves, but instead punishing businesses. If you truly want to stop immigration, if you truly want to stop undocumented immigration, you punish businesses. You punish the business owners. You don't punish the fucking immigrants, okay? And that never really happens, and that's precisely because the immigration system that we have right now, not the culture war associations with like crime and rape and whatever the fuck like Republicans try to fearmonger with, but the actual reason why we have the immigration system that is so inhumane that we do is so that we always have a comfortable 11 million population that is undocumented to use against the documented worker population, because that way you can truly depress the wages by saying, hey, if you don't do it, there's always someone else that can do it here. That's precisely why the real reason or the real way to fix workers' rights revolves around immigration rights, revolves around immigration reform, revolves around actually giving documentation to all undocumented immigrants living in U.S. soil. Literally always been like this. Mexicans now as Irish Italians in the early 1900s. E-Verify with no deportations can help prevent exploitations of undocumented workers. Yeah. But it's not just E-Verify. Like, if you literally said, we are going to throw you in jail for hiring undocumented immigrants, a lot of these, first of all, the agricultural industry would literally fall apart. It would fall apart. Meat packing, meat producing would fall apart. There would be nothing. They would have nothing. Chicken factories would no longer exist, okay? Because the moment that you say, the moment that you decide we are actually going to enforce punishments on business owners rather than the fucking undocumented workers that are working there for like super low wages, the moment you do that, it changes. It changes everything. Yes, we will talk. Is the John Oliver thing about meat packing? Okay, we're going to watch it now. Okay, how about that? I'm going to watch it right now, you fucks.
Moving on. For our main story tonight, we're going to talk about a product that is wildly popular in this country. But instead of telling you what it is, I'd rather show you an ad for it. And I promise, if you have never seen this commercial before, you will never guess what it's for.
React frogs are eating today, boys.
He's been drinking too much milk.
Sometimes you just don't feel like cooking. So I've come up with new Purdue entrees. Fresh, complete entrees, ready in under 3 minutes.
Well, that took a turn. And what exactly does Jim Purdue think he's doing there? That family doesn't need one of your shitty frozen meals. They need someone to expel the literal devil from their demented guinea pig. Perform an exorcism, Jim, or get the fuck out of their house. The point is, our main story tonight concerns meat. It's what I technically am to any animal above me on the food chain, like a bear, or a tiger, or if we're being totally honest, a medium-aggressive pigeon. And if you're thinking, okay, I know where this is going, this is going to be a grim story about the conditions animals face in factory farms, you're actually wrong. Those conditions are horrific, but they do get talked about a lot. This story is going to be about the grim conditions humans are facing working in meatpacking facilities.
Oh my God, vegans, you're no longer allowed. You're no longer allowed to talk going forward. No, I know this is going to be triggering. I'm telling you right now, trigger warning to the fucking vegans. They're talking about the workers, the human beings that work inside of the meatpacking facilities rather than the, unethical nature of meatpacking in general or whatever the fuck. So if I hear you fucking shitting on undocumented immigrants and saying stuff like, well, they shouldn't work there anyway, like that, those jobs should not even exist, I'm going to ban you. So I'm telling you right now.
If you ate meat today, it probably went through one of them. And meatpacking is a highly consolidated industry. Roughly 85% of beef.
It's weird that high minimum wage countries have low illegal immigrants, but high legal migrants. Yes, because the reason why you want to keep wages low, the reason why immigration is so fucking draconian in America is not because like everyone wants to come here in the way that like some people like to mention it, or some people like to talk about it. It's because the reason why wages are low is because we use a permanent underclass in the form of undocumented immigrants, which I'm sure John Oliver is going to talk about. I've talked about it a lot. All of those Nordic immigrants. Are you kidding me? Like Norway has a pretty fucking high number, a pretty high population of immigrants in Norway, right? Like this notion that there's no fucking immigrants in like countries that have social safety nets is so stupid. Switzerland has a higher number of immigrants, higher percentage of immigrants per capita than the Switzerland has more immigrants per capita than the United States, for example. More people are foreign-born in Norway than the U.S. European countries don't have comparable immigrants take as low-key racist. Yeah, because they're saying that like, oh, they're coming from good countries. That's
agree,
it.
But we still should let in immigrants more.
That's literally it. There are more people in countries than there are in cities. So what? Are you under the assumption that like there is a percentage or there's a number where like this doesn't work? When we're talking about per capita, when we start talking about percentages and you literally go back to the totality, you're only demonstrating your lack of reading comprehension. That you're only demonstrating that you're too stupid to understand what we're talking about.
#PPPP.
I meant people from Nordic countries trying to come here talking about the U.S. perspective on immigrants. No. I know. When you said all those Nordic immigrants, I understood what you were trying to say. I use that as a jump off point to say that there are these countries often have a higher percentage of immigrants living there than the United States.
4 months Stan Luna.
People who have empathy for humans but not for animals that have just as much capacity to suffer bewilder me. Okay, well, keep being bewildered.
America is controlled by these 4 companies, and more than half of the chicken industry is controlled by these 4. Their employees are extremely important to this country's food supply, and to hear companies like Tyson tell it, they're important to them on a personal level too.
We've all got the same end goal in mind: protect our team members. They're our most valuable asset. They are our family. I said earlier that we're a food company, but we're a family. And that's genuinely how I feel and how we operate.
Okay, if Tyson's workers are their most valuable asset, then their workers are, by definition, not family, because let's be honest, nobody's family is their most valuable asset. If you're going to rank everything in life by how much you value it, it goes number 1, your phone, number 2, food, water and shelter, number 3, Judi Dench, she's a fucking treasure, and then, and only then, your family. That's just an empirical fact. But second, it's a little hard to take Tyson's workers are our family talk, given this.
Stunning allegations made against managers at this Tyson pork processing plant in Waterloo, Iowa, one of the first to shut down when the coronavirus raged uncontrollably in the spring. A supervisor allegedly taking bets on how many would catch the virus. According to the allegations, the plant manager of the Waterloo facility organized a cash buy-in, winner-take-all betting pool for supervisors and managers to wager how many employees would test positive for COVID-19.
Holy shit! That betting pool might be the most disgusting thing ever created in a Tyson factory, which is frankly saying something, given that Tyson also makes ranch-flavored chicken chips, a snack one customer...
Okay, that actually kind of sounds sick. Fuck, there's something wrong with me, dude. I don't know what the... I don't know what it is. It's just like, I think I would eat the fuck out of that.
Viewed online with a note, disgusting, I gagged in front of my child. That review is on Tyson's actual website. Now, Tyson fired 7 managers at that plant after that incident, but it does speak to a larger problem in this industry, because while companies have put out endless press statements about the expense they've gone to protect their workers during this pandemic, workers themselves dispute those claims heavily, and they've been hit hard. As of February 18th, at least 57,000 meatpacking workers have contracted the virus, and at least 280 have died. But the broader truth is that the treatment of workers in this industry has been very bad for a very long time. So tonight, let's look at them. And let's start with how plants operate. Most feature a series of long conveyor belts with workers packed closely along the line, chopping, deboning or trimming fat, often at breakneck speed. Maximum allowable line speeds in poultry have actually doubled since 1979, with workers reporting averaging 35 to 45 birds per minute. That is less than 2 seconds per bird. That's fast. In the time it's taken me to explain line speeds to you, a plant could have processed 5 whole birds. And look, there's plenty of activities that should only take 2 seconds. Checking the time, clearing your throat, determining the worth of a total stranger by how much you want to fuck them. Hey! I get it. But safely butchering a chicken probably shouldn't be one of them. And thanks to this relentless pace, meatpacking workers have reported it can be hard to take a break, even to go to the bathroom, which may explain stories like this.
This is security camera video given to our sister station from the Smithfield production line in Virginia. In the video, you see the employee in front take off his gloves. Company officials confirm the man relieves himself under the production line, then puts his gloves back on and continues to work. The worker at the center of all this has been suspended pending the outcome of the investigation.
Yeah, it's the fucking worker's fault, dude. I can't believe you're setting yourself up like this. What do you mean? I don't see the problem here. He took off his gloves before pissing. Yeah, I mean, I don't give a shit. He touched my chicken. Hey, guys, not to shock you, but like chickens also poop and stuff too and have piss and pee in them. Like we're eating fucking animals, you know?
That is disgusting.
Well, yeah, it is. The combination of urine and pork is a bit upsetting. It's one of the many reasons I have no interest in seeing Miss Piggy's sex tape. But it is not just that man.
Why does he do this? Why? Every episode, I'm gonna stop watching John Oliver. Every episode, there's like at least one fucking furry joke, dude.
The production line is that he was put in a position where he may have felt like he had to. That is actually a problem across the meatpacking industry. Oxfam released a report detailing exactly how grim conditions can be for poultry.
Holy shit, they did an entire report on denial of bathroom breaks in poultry industry, dude.
Workers, with one detail in particular that hit this local Michigan talk show hard.
Poultry industry workers are put through such extremes that they're denied bathroom breaks, many wearing diapers during their work day.
Oh my goodness! I know that people need jobs and they need to be employed, but to have to stand in your own stuff while you're working?
My mind is racing while you're sharing those details and thinking, surely this is not in our country.
Okay, I get the shock there, I really do, but the thing is, this is totally...
This is funny because, like, when people talk about, like, you know, anarcho-capitalist dystopia, like anarcho-capitalist dystopian futures, you usually associate horrific workplace conditions, exactly like this, with said ANCAP dystopia. But it's already here. I forget who made this point about, you know, climate change and what's happening in Texas is going to be our future. Someone was criticizing that take, saying, no, it's not going to be happening in our future. It's happening right now, and it's going to continue happening. And the same could be said about horrific workplace conditions. Was it Matt Christman? Yeah. The same could be said about the workplace conditions that we are subjected to right now. Not all of us, obviously. Not myself. I mean, I do work for a measly 2 cents an hour wage in comparison to others. But this is the reality. And all jokes aside, this is the reality for a lot of fucking workers that work in production lines or even Amazon facilities, for example. $0.02 an hour per sub. No, it will happen in the future to whites is the real concern here. I mean, it's happening right now to whites as well.
Our country. We live in a nation where hundreds of thousands of homeless sleep on the streets, people have to launch GoFundMe campaigns for medical treatment, and where George Zimmerman can auction off the gun.
You think white people don't work these jobs? No, I do think white people work these jobs. I just said, no, of course, it is happening to whites right now as well.
He used to kill Trayvon Martin, a horrific story, which, by the way, your show actually covered in this segment directly before that one. So you guys have been doing a pretty good job of showing how fucked up this country can be. And it's not just bathroom break issues. Meatpacking has some of the highest rates of occupational injury and illness in the country. In fact, in a recent 3-year period, a worker in the meat and poultry industry lost a body part or was sent to the hospital for inpatient treatment about every other day. And a lot of...
Hey, but thin blue line, by the way. You know, thin blue line, boys.
this is down to dangerous working conditions. Plants are so crowded, a common injury is a cut from your neighbor's knife. And those rapid line speeds can exacerbate other problems such as repetitive stress injuries like carpal tunnel syndrome, all of which can leave workers feeling pretty disposable.
I mean, you got 2,000 miles an hour going through.
You're covered with blood, feces, urine. It's easy to get hurt down there.
You're doing that same movement for that same piece of the hog, and it's nonstop, you know. Basically, you're treated as a human machine.
Look, that is clearly terrible. Nobody should be treated like a machine. Unless, of course, it is a fun machine like an immersion
My
blender.
husband's arms used to seize up. They'd sink them in water and keep going in the pig plant in Canada.
I'd love to be treated like an immersion blender. You want me to stay in a comfy drawer most of the day and then occasionally come out to robot fucker soup? Yes, please. Look, at this point, you might be wondering, how do companies get away with treating their workers like this? Well, many strategically locate their plants in areas with few other job opportunities and target vulnerable groups like former prisoners.
Wait, I thought it was highly regulated after the late 1800s. Meatpacking is still this unregulated in 2020. My guy, you are coming to the realization that I came to about child labor in the United States like last week. I genuinely thought, like, you know, child labor was abolished in its entirety in the United States of America, or there were like significant regulations revolving around child labor. I was wrong. When they passed those regulations, they just lessened the amount of poop that was allowed in your food. Ha ha ha.
Refugees and especially immigrants for hiring. Roughly 175,000 immigrants work in meatpacking jobs in America, and they, understandably, may be warier about complaining to authorities about mistreatment. So many workers are already operating at a deep disadvantage, on top of which companies have been able to minimize accountability by gaming the system. For instance, they are required to report serious injuries to the government's worker protection agency, OSHA. But there is a simple way around that, because you actually don't have to report those injuries if treatment stays at a first aid level. So, what do you think happens? Well, as a GAO report found, plants simply offer first aid treatments on site rather than refer workers to a doctor. That same report found even workers with severe injuries like fractures weren't sent to doctors, with one worker who developed a musculoskeletal disorder making over 90 visits to the company's nurse before being referred to a physician. And the workers know the game that is being played here.
There's a nurse, but she doesn't do anything for you. For example, when our arms hurt, all she did was apply Bengay ointment and sent us on our way. It's not even worth going.
I needed to see a doctor, but they refused me. And I told them, well, can I go down to see my own orthopedics, my own specialist, my own doctor? And they said, if you do that, we're going to fire you.
Look, there are lots of good reasons to fire someone. Frequent
Thank you.
absences, poor quality of work, because they get a little
Aisha
racisty
Esquire
on Ambien.
for the
But
10 gifted
wanting to
subs.
see a doctor really should not be one of them. And it's worth noting, if you do have a severe injury, it can be very hard to get relief. In theory, you could apply for workers' compensation, programs under which injured workers lose their ability to sue, but in exchange, can get money to cover medical treatment and lost wages. The thing is, those programs are run at the state level and paid into by companies who've lobbied hard both to hollow those benefits out and make them harder to get. Just before Texas overhauled its workers' comp system back in 1989, one poultry CEO, Bo Pilgrim, tried to personally influence proceedings in a pretty blatant way.
Senator Bob Glasgow of Stephenville says he's never been offered a blank $10,000 check. Not until East Texas Chicken King Bo Pilgrim strutted onto the Senate floor Wednesday. Senator Hugh Palmer of Fort Worth says Pilgrim then slipped him either a bribe or an illegal campaign contribution.
Well, I didn't think he was trying to give me a Christmas present, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, of course he wasn't, because Christmas presents aren't typically used as bribes. That is, unless you're a child of divorce. Here it is, Billy, a full-size motorcycle, just like you asked for. I think you should have it, and if your mother doesn't, well, that is on her. She's a difficult woman, Billy. And look, just a quick word about Bo Pilgrim here. He co-founded a company.
By the way, there's like functionally no difference between bribes and campaign contributions. It's just that there is a legal limit to how much you can bribe someone with campaign contributions, as long as you're not utilizing dark money and you know, super PACs, in which case then you have no legal limits. But it's just legalized bribery and corruption in the exact same capacity. So just remember that.
Company called Pilgrim's Pride, and blank checks to legislators aren't even the most shameless thing he spent money on during his life. Among other things, he had this 37-foot bust of his head installed next to one of his distribution centres and added this second statue underneath it depicting him reading a Bible to his pet chicken Henrietta. He also built this hellacious mansion, which locals referred to as Cluckingham Palace, and which included, among other atrocities, this absolute nightmare of a bathroom that fittingly has the exact colour scheme of a raw chicken breast, and this nauseating foyer featuring a painting of what appears to be two peacocks fucking above some chickens while a perverted owl just watches. And it wasn't just Bo Pilgrim fighting workers' comp laws. Tyson has taken a lead in pushing for changes in workers' comp in state after state, which have made it harder for workers.
He's going to have to tie this back to deportation, right? Oh, this in Purdue. He has to tie this back to deportation because deportation is used as a tool, a mechanism basically of enforcement whenever the workers organize, whenever undocumented workers organize to demand back pay or to demand like better workplace conditions, you know, because there's a lot of sexual harassment that happens in this industry for some fucking weird reason. I don't know why it's like higher than like all these other industries. Then boom, next day you have ICE show up and round everybody. He mentioned it already, kind of. Yeah.
Hurt on the job to receive payments. In fact, in Texas, it is now possible for companies to opt out of paying into workers' comp entirely and essentially write their own rules for how much workers get for their injuries. Tyson does exactly that. And when workers get injured in their plants there, in order to get medical care from the company, they must first sign a document saying they voluntarily release, waive, and forever give up claims arising from their injuries. Now, could you not sign that? Sure, but then your best bet to pay for medical coverage is to sue the company, and that could take fucking years. And while Texas does now have a law giving workers 10 days to consider signing the waiver, before then, they could actually be pressured on the spot. At another company, an employee who'd had both of his hands crushed was persuaded to sign a waiver with a pen held in his teeth. And look, I know that this all sounds very bad, and it does imply that companies like Tyson don't care about the physical well-being of their workers, but that's actually not true, because they do seem to care very much about the physical well-being of some of their workers.
Employees at Tyson Fresh Meats corporate offices in Dakota Dunes are getting out from behind their desks.
All right, looks good, guys.
And into a healthy routine.
Every Tuesday and Thursday, we offer an on-site fitness class for any employee who wants to come.
We focused on stretching at your desk. A lot of us sit at our desk a lot of times. So even just getting up and stretching, just that little bit of movement throughout the day helps too.
We had a workshop on meditation last week, and it was pretty good, clearing your mind and relaxing. Stuff you can do at work.
You know what? It's true. Meditation is great for clearing your mind. You just have to sit still, focus on your breath, and try not to think about the local camera crew that's filming a piece about your corporate office culture that will one day be uncomfortably juxtaposed with how appallingly your company treats workers in its factories. Now, are those thoughts going to creep into your mind? Sure, but just acknowledge them and return to your breath. Namaste. Now, clearly, the contrast between Tyson's corporate offices and their plants is stark, almost as stark as the disparity between their salaried workers, over 73% of whom are white, and their hourly workers, over 68% of whom are black, Asian, or Latino. It's just a fun fact I'm throwing in there for no particular reason. Now, ideally, you would want the government to step in and remedy some of what you've seen. Unfortunately, OSHA is woefully understaffed. As of last April, its number of inspectors had dropped to a 45-year low. In fact, at current staffing levels, it would take OSHA 165 years to inspect every workplace under its jurisdiction. And even on the rare occasions that inspectors do get to visit them.
Every single part of what John Oliver is describing is a consequence of our regulatory system being dismantled and jurisdiction being taken away from these organizations specifically and deliberately by those in positions of power who line up the pockets of all of the chicken factory owners, of all of the chicken factory owners lining up the pockets of all of our wonderful representatives. Okay? It's destroying all manner of regulation and leaving it a shell of what it has to be in order to maintain workplace safety, which would then in turn create higher quality products for you as well. But as long as the commodities that you are getting served are relatively cheap, okay, and they are cheap in comparison to other countries, then you shut the fuck up and you overlook it. This happens in every part of our lives, in every workplace, okay? And that's why when I say more regulation is necessary, or labor unions are a necessity, or any number of different things, like we need to give the government more money, we need to tax the wealthy, people look at me like I'm some fucking psychopath. A better tomorrow is possible if only you can start by dreaming of a better tomorrow instead of fucking crying about how, well, chicken is going to be, 20 cents more expensive per pound, and the costs are going to be pushed on to the consumer. Oh, you watched Adam Curtis then? No, I did not watch Adam Curtis. I have watched Adam Curtis documentaries in the past, but this is what I advocate for all the fucking time. I don't need to hear it from Adam Curtis yeah, this is just pretty basic stuff. Hey, Hassan, search a fossil farming worker dies in Turlock. Read about how messed up story about totally preventable death. What does this say about the Americans who accept this trade-off? No, they don't. They don't accept this trade-off. They are unaware that this is a trade-off that they are engaging in. There are Americans who do accept this trade-off because they have nothing to trade for it. Upper middle class, professional managerial class Americans, those who work at the corporate office for Tyson, are the ones who are overlooking this trade-off or not really considering it, okay? They don't want to pay more for chicken. They don't want to pay more in taxes. So they say, yeah, fuck this. No, this is fine. They themselves are in a worse off situation too when, we don't have Medicare for all, for example. So they can't just like leave their job and go get something else, or maybe even pursue something that is a passion of theirs, lowering their work hours, because if they do that, they might lose their health care and therefore go into medical bankruptcy if they, God forbid, get caught up with some sort of illness. So they are also being sold a shitty hand that they're unaware of, but it's not as horrific as those who work on the line or in directly a part of the production. But ultimately, it's worse for everyone.
The plants. The limits to what they're allowed to do once they're in there can be genuinely ridiculous.
In the Southeast, where a huge proportion of the poultry industry resides.
Austinox, but in the meantime, we should keep buying from these companies, right? Oh shit. Sorry, Vegan Andy Austinox. I didn't realize the agricultural industry actually was really fucking famous for its workplace conditions. Oh my God. You know, the fucking Mexican day laborers that are working while California is literally on fire, those guys are actually, they love working for fucking $10 or not $10, whatever, like 10 cents a fucking hour. They love that shit, dude. So I know that, vegan food production is significantly more. Are you saying that the plant agriculture industry is worse than the meatpacking industry? No, what I'm simply stating is that plant agriculture industry also has the exact same kind of problems, because those problems do not derive from the ethical nature of your fucking animal production versus like plant production, but from capitalism. You drop that whataboutism here, but the reality is that seeking a more ethical way of consuming food in a conversation that we're having about workplace conditions is silly because it makes it seem like this doesn't exist in the plant agriculture industry.
There is actually a lawsuit that has successfully prevented OSHA inspectors from doing broader searches in poultry factories, even when they know workers are getting seriously injured. In one case, an inspector was told to put a box over her head so she wouldn't see any safety hazards in the plant if she wanted to walk through the plant to investigate a fire.
Okay, not to state the obvious here, but put a box on your head is not an instruction you give when everything is up to code. It's just inherently suspicious. Right this way, Inspector. Now, if you'll also just please plug your nose and spin around 3 times, we can begin the tour. And even when OSHA finds violations, their power to do anything is incredibly weak. In 2019, the average fine for a serious safety violation, a hazard where there is a substantial probability of death or serious physical harm, was just over $3,700. Meaning it can genuinely be cheaper for companies to run an unsafe plant and occasionally pay those fines than for them to provide a safe work environment. And all of this came to a head last year when the pandemic hit.
This is what I was talking about, by the way, and the exact same thing happens with deportations too. It is cheaper to price in these fines and keep hiring undocumented immigrants and not pay them as much, as long as, you know, if they act out, as long as you know that you can use INS, you can use ICE to fucking kick people out of the country and like ruin their lives, you're totally willing and able to pay those fines. Everything will be fine. Too many fines results in the adverse info that prevents new contracts from being awarded.
Corporate workers immediately worked from home because it wasn't safe for them to be in the office. But
the same concept exists in the PG&E wildfires and PG&E safety or PG&E infrastructure problems. The same exact problem exists within like Boeing, for example, not testing out, or it's the Ford Pinto conversation. Okay, that's what this is. It is the age-old libertarian Ford Pinto conversation. It is cheaper to fucking not pull all of your cars from the field and change their, and make sure that their safety is up to the standards after you recognize that there is a problem with like there's a problem with their brake system or some shit, right? It's cheaper to just keep selling them, knowing full well that some of those brakes might actually fail. And then eventually deal with a class action lawsuit that comes afterwards, than it is to pull all the cars, or the Volkswagen emission scammer systems too, exactly. Then to pull in all the cars and fix them. It wasn't the brakes, the explosive hit from behind, right? Is that what it was?
But the plants were kept open despite the fact, as you have seen, it's nearly impossible to socially distance on a line. And when workers, entirely predictably, then started dying, the federal response was characteristically weak. After 6 workers from a JBS plant in Colorado died from COVID, the company's total fine was just $15,000. And for the family of Saul Sanchez, one of those workers, that understandably didn't sit well.
Saul Sanchez worked for the company for nearly 3 decades and never called in sick a single time. He was the first JBS worker to die of COVID-19, and his family says his funeral costs more than the fine this company's now facing.
It's a huge slap on the face, and they bring in over $50 billion a year, and they get slapped with $15,000. That's what enables these companies to not care for their employees.
Yeah, exactly. That fine amounts to 0.00003% of JBS's profits last year. And if you fine a company a fraction of a percent of their profits, don't be surprised when they carry on only giving a fraction of a fuck about the welfare of their workers. Now, legally, I have to tell you, JBS claims that that fine and the government's finding that they failed to protect their employees from exposure to COVID is entirely without merit. Not only that, They are even fighting the claims for workers' comp survivor benefits from Saul Sanchez's widow and others who've lost loved ones. Their argument being that the COVID infections were not work-related. Although, to be honest, that's a hard argument for them to land, given that the outbreak got so bad there, at one point they had to shut the fucking plant down. So, what can we do here?
One of the wonderful things that the Trump administration did when they were using the Defense Production Act was to use the powers offered to the executive branch to expand upon meatpacking facilities and expand upon limit the legal liability that they had during COVID, which was pretty fucking tight. Instead of using the DPA to ensure that we were creating more masks and shit like that, they used the DPA to make sure that meatpacking facilities were not subject to the same legal liabilities that other facilities would be subject to during COVID, to ensure that chicken production did not stop or meat production did not stop at all, even if thousands and thousands of people were getting fucking sick.
Well, at least for the duration of the pandemic, OSHA should implement a federal emergency workplace standard, giving meatpacking workers the right to social distancing and other protections. Longer term, that agency needs to be rebuilt and strengthened, and it can't stop there. The USDA should do more to ensure lines move at safe speeds, and when it comes to workers' comp, we should be setting a baseline.
Gee, I wonder why Joe Rogan never talked about any of this. He's been living in Texas for a while. Because Joe Rogan is fancied as the working class whisperer, and he does have some very real experience in poverty from his upbringing, but ultimately he's still a fucking half-billionaire, okay, who has been far removed from the realities and any sort of empathy that he could fucking generate for actual workers, okay? And I say this as someone who also lives in fucking Los Angeles and is a Twitch streamer, but at the very least, I still have an understanding of what people go through. Okay? He does not. And that's why he doesn't fucking talk about this shit. Because he doesn't care. Because his best friends are fucking Elon Musk and other incredibly, insanely wealthy people. Not a half-billionaire confirmed. Wait, how much money does he have? I thought he's like nearly. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's like. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. He's a 1/10 billionaire. I am so sorry. Yeah, what a fucking lame ass. What an absolute lame ass. And here's the thing, okay? Yeah, what a broke boy. Smells like broken here, Joe Rogan. More like broke Rogan. Okay. So lame. Oh, I can't get over it. Wow, who's more poor, Soda or Joe Rogan? Fuck, I don't know. Yeah, Joe Broken. Where the fuck was I? Oh, the thing I was gonna say is the reason why people like Joe Rogan are still considered like, working class whisperers, despite the fact that they don't give a shit about this stuff. Telling Rogan is too rich to care and getting pissed when someone tells that to you. Yes, there is a difference between the things that I say and the things that Joe Rogan says. If you cannot comprehend the difference between the things that I say and the things that Joe Rogan says, then you are too caught up in the fucking aesthetics of the conversation and too stupid to understand what I'm saying. When I'm talking about workplace conditions, okay, for people who are making like $7 an hour, and I center my conversations around that sort of thing rather than, I don't know, some fucking incredibly wealthy New York Times writer got fired for defending the usage of the N-word or some shit, and this means this is cancel culture, and this is all we should talk about for the next year and a half. That means, I'm an elitist, but the people that are doing that, the professional managerial class, media class fucking combos over and over again, those people are actually the real working class whisperers. It's fucking bullshit. Okay? There's a difference between the things that I advocate for and the things that others advocate for. Having said that, I still, enjoy Joe Rogan's podcast. I still watch them. When you argue about social issues, you sound like you share a bit of detachment from how brutal the financial issues are for the poor in the U.S. Why? Why? That sounds like an incredibly white statement, brother. I'm sorry to say this, but social issues directly align with the problems that working class people are subjected to, considering the reality that the American working class is still, and we also found out in the fucking meatpacking plants at least, predominantly 68% black and brown. So their social problems also are additionally compounding factors onto their oppression and struggle. So I'm sorry that I don't, hold on to the fucking assumption that like every working class person is actually white. Okay?
For what states have to offer, because otherwise the race to the bottom will just continue. And all of this has to be done quickly because things are critical right now. Remember that Tyson plant with the winner-take-all betting pool? As of mid-December, more than 1,500 employees there contracted the virus.
Because you equate them? What? What do you mean because you equate them? I always say that social issues that revolve around identities is a compounding factor on top of the class disparity, on top of the class issues that working class individuals face. I give you the fucking Oprah analogy all the time. Oprah is a black woman, okay? But Oprah, by virtue of being a black woman, is not worse off than a white homeless person, okay? No, I'm a day trader with a podcast, and I'm pretty sure all workers are racist white people. Exactly.
And 8 died. So if Tyson truly is a family, like they love to claim, it does seem to be a pretty fucking dysfunctional one. And when you take all of this together, the diapers, the endless trips to the nursing station, the injuries and the deaths, you frankly only need to...
Could you explain? No, Bait, I honestly wonder why she's not better off. No. Oprah is significantly better off than the white homeless person. I'm saying that class is the primary function there. What the fuck are you saying? She's a billionaire, dog. What are you, crazy? Class is more important in that regard than anything else. But if you look to middle class individuals, or if you look to working class individuals, a white working class person in a similar annual income level is better off than a black working class individual with a similar annual income level. Okay? Because racism or systemic issues like racism add a additional burden.
to take a peek inside the way this industry currently operates to draw a pretty simple conclusion.
That is disgusting.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
He wasn't baiting. I think he misunderstood what I was saying. He thought I was saying the opposite of what I was actually saying. How do you combat the talking point that Asian Americans are doing fine? My brother loves to bring this up. What does that even mean? Like, Asian Americans are doing fine. You need to give me additional info on this. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, what is he bringing it up for? What is the purpose of him bringing that up? Anyone that says Oprah's more oppressed or worse off by virtue of being black is full-on racism with low expectations. I mean, I don't think people say that anyway. That's why I bring that example up, because it's a great example that shuts off even the most, like, hardcore libs. They use that to imply that minorities are not oppressed because look, Asians are doing great. Okay, so there's a difference between, especially if you are looking at like especially if you're comparing like Latin American immigrants and or Latino